I got to kick this thing off. Can I kick it off? 1, 2, 3, 4. Ladies and gentlemen, listen.
I mean, my thing is, I think that your plan actually was better than what the NAACP announced. My problem with what the NAACP did is that they announced this plan and left the weight of the execution of the plan on the public. So, whereas some people have like, this is what we're doing, these are the measurements of how we're going to, decide how we're being successful and whatnot. I think that is something that's measurable, something that we can actually like roll out and explain to the community and say, hey, this is your level of commitment. What is your level of commitment? But just saying, hey, I think all of you should just do this, and the bulk of the weight rests on somebody's child who probably has parents who are out there talking about how your vote don't matter. That's not going to be an effective strategy. All I'm saying is that I don't think that just saying, hey, this is what we should do and dumping it in the laps of children is the way to go. And I think that our generation consistently has these like short-sighted plans and agendas that don't really calculate the long-term impact on our children and on the people that actually have to carry the weight, like how we talked about people boycotting Target that are in food deserts. How am I going to boycott the only place that I can get food in an area? So what I'm saying is that these short-sighted plans that people just announce without having any type of like long-term strategy or impact like program. So like, okay, so these people in food deserts, what we're going to do is start donating to these areas. There's no real long-term plan. And we keep just saying, hey, this is what we're doing, do it, or you're not with the program. You're not Black, you're not subscribing, you're against the boycott. Like, you can't keep doing that. You can't keep pitting us against each other because we don't like the plan.
Did you say how we can improve the plan?
Yes, I said your plan was better. I just didn't elaborate because you didn't elaborate last time, so I didn't elaborate for you this time. It's discretion.
Lab, how can you improve the plan?
I don't know that the plan needs to be improved. I think the plan is, like I said, could be a one prong of a multifaceted approach that you have to take. Those who can participate in this, that's fine. Those who can't, then you have to find other means.
I think the burden should be placed on corporations. I think the burden should be placed on the people that have the finances, the means, and the reach that the rest of us don't have. And
because honestly, I'm gonna be straight up with you. At this point, unless you've thought this through for a long time, every plan that we've ever had, boom, they've combated that plan. So your plan lasts good for 2 weeks or 2 months. Boom, we over here now. Boom, we over here now. And what you accomplish in this plan in 30 years, they're going to try to take that away from you too. So you have to be more long-term, more long-range focused. So to say this in response a week out, a week after, or this happened and not have any long-term, I like where it's going, but it needs to be fleshed out more. I can't tell you what to do besides. I really don't know. I really don't have a good idea.
And that brings me back to my second point that I didn't get back to. I think that one of the reasons why the NFL didn't support Kaepernick the way we, in hindsight, thought they should have supported him is because he didn't give them a heads up. And he came in with this all-white team talking about combating racism. I think that he just did it the wrong way to get us on his side. So if he had approached it differently and maybe tried to get people in on it instead of saying, hey, this is what I'm doing, jump in, which is what I feel like we're doing right now. Hey, if you're with me, boycott, the SEC and all these schools that aren't, supporting the vote. You can't just say, hey, do what I'm doing or you're against me. we have to collaborate, and we don't do that enough on the back end. We come out with these grand statements, and then we're like, if you don't support me, then you're against me. That's not true. That's not how it works. Like Lab said, we got to flesh this stuff out more. We got to, let's say, hey, you're making some great points, and I like where you're going, but I think we can improve here. I don't have all the answers, but I got something. And then let's make a for real long-term strategic plan that actually can help all of us. But we don't do that. Somebody comes up with something and we're like, if you don't follow it, you're against us. Well, I don't subscribe to that. I'd rather be off board and do whatever I want to do than be a part of a bandwagon that doesn't make sense to me every single day.
And that's why white supremacy will continue to kick our ass, because there are plenty of people who think like you all, as much as I love you too.
Hey, you're right.
There is
Plenty of people.
The most effective boycott that I can remember was the Montgomery bus boycott that I remember reading about. I wasn't there when it happened.
Yeah.
Right. And you had people who worked in the homes of white folks. They lived in states where Black people were terrorized, murdered, our women were raped. They lived under a real they lived under threat all the time. And they said, hey, unless this changes, we don't give a damn if we got to walk forever. Unless you change it, we're not going to get back on that bus. And we are a generation that is much more educated, has much more resources. And the one thing that we don't have is the same level of courage and the ability to stick together. I'm sure when they did the Montgomery bus boycott, there was people who was like, well, wait a minute, well, I got to walk, and you asking my old grandma to walk and she got to go and do this. That's not fair to the old people. Just like y'all saying, oh, this is not fair to the young people. But you know what they said? We got to stick together and we got to make a change. And that's what they did. And no, you don't have to just say, hey, listen, somebody came up with a protest. Let's all just jump in on it if it doesn't make sense to you. But you know what you should do? Just be quiet and stay out the way. Because what happens is when you sit there and say, well, hey, this isn't really fleshed out, and this isn't this, and all this stuff, but you don't really come up with any tangible things that's going to make it better. All you do is really create confusion, and then nothing happens. No change happens, and the other side continues to win. So that's why I was very quiet, and I wanted to see, well, what do you have to say that's going to make it better? And I really didn't hear a whole bunch. And that's
I didn't know that's what we were
going to continue to be a problem.
We were just talking about how we felt.
That's going to continue to be a problem for us as a community if we constantly just say, hey, listen, that ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna work. And then what do we end up doing? We don't do anything.
Nobody said it.
You know what, man? I'm gonna tell you, I'll let you talk. I used to work for this guy. He's deceased now. Fox News Republican, Mormon. Hated Obama. I probably was one of the only Black dudes that he liked. But he taught me something. He said, don't let the pursuit of perfection get in the way of progress. And that's what I do in my life. I do a lot of things, and a lot of things that I do, people are, oh man, you do this and you do that. I mess up all the damn time, but I still do something. And with the mindset that a lot of the people in our community have, looking for perfection, looking for things to be ideal, we are never going to get anything accomplished if that's going to be the only way that we say we're going to stand up and do something.
I just want to interject. I don't know that the Montgomery bus boycott is applicable here, because what you're asking, you literally asking people to sacrifice is their livelihood. The people in Montgomery, you ask them, they didn't. They still went to work for these white people that you said was so terrible for them. They walked to their houses. They didn't jeopardize their livelihood. It was just a transportation to get there. So that's that's a little apples and oranges to me. I understand where you're coming
it's
from.
actually it is apples and oranges because you know what? That was during the time where when black people did try to stand up, white folks would come and kill and make an example of somebody and said, "You Negroes fall in line." So it is apples and oranges because they were in a lot more peril than we were. You made a good point.
Yeah, exactly. They were in a lot more peril in that situation without money. Yeah, right. The peril was they didn't have money on the line. You're right. They didn't have money on the line.
And not only that, that boycott was steeped in colorism. So it doesn't really represent.
Why? Because of Rosa Parks and Claudette Colvin, that one thing of Stephen colorism.
Not that
And you throw
one
away
thing.
the whole boycott because of that situation.
I'm not throwing away anything. What I'm saying is they couldn't make their point until they had some light brights like us up there at the forefront of stuff.
I just think it's really
like that doesn't matter.
I think it's rich for people. Another aspect of it, again, not saying this. If you can participate, but it's rich to me for people who are telling other people's kids to do this, go here, do that. Don't, when their own kids, they purposely took them out of certain situations and put them in other situations where, granted, it's not statewide vote, but on the school board, your vote didn't matter when you took them and put them in this school. In the county that you live in, your vote didn't matter. So people's votes all of a sudden matter now, and they're saying don't go here because of that. Well, a lot of people purposely took their kids to places where they knew their votes weren't mattering. Purposely.
All I'm saying is that it's not like we're not against the movement just because we're pointing out.
If they had said, "Hey, listen, the black people can't vote for school boards in this county," if they could said, "No, we're going to gerrymander in this school board so you can't vote in this county," then they shouldn't have took their kids there.
No, that's not
the point of the protest.
So what is
the point of the protest is the vote.
That's what I'm saying. So
the point of the protest is for them to stop racially gerrymandering so that we don't have representation. That's the point.
Vote.
That's not
the vote. The vote. Our vote is not the point.
The vote is to have. We can still vote. You can still vote, but your vote don't matter. You can still vote.
Right.
You're right. That's what I'm saying.
But it's the racially gerrymandering that neutralizes your vote. That's the cause that we need to impact, not our ability to vote. If they say, "Hey, you darkies can't go and vote," then what you're saying is right. But what they're saying is, we're going to make it to where you can vote, but it don't matter anything. So what we are targeting is the racial gerrymandering, not the ability to vote.
I think that both issues are under attack, but I get what you're saying.
Possibly,
no, it's definitely gerrymandering.
Well, for sure, gerrymandering, but I think the whole point is our ability to vote. They're trying to neutralize it by these roundabout means, but at the same time, that's the point.
Yeah, and you're right. Again, they are going to go after it because they're going after what is it called? I think it's Amendment 14, birthright citizenship. What was it? Is it Alabama? There was a representative in Alabama that was saying, "I think we should go after birthright citizenship."
Yeah,
you know who birthright citizenship was intended for? Our ancestors.
Yeah.
So at what point is it going to be like, "All right, that's enough, dog"?
Right. So then let me ask you, and this is, maybe I didn't see it in the plan or anything like that. Was there not a call for them to go to HBCUs? It was just to go to other schools up north, or outside of that?
I had it up, but my phone died. Let me
because I didn't see anything specifically about that.
Now I don't
remember.
I think now, to be fair, I think if. I've always said, I think we've said on the show, I know I'll speak for myself. I've said it. What if all of our top talent went to HBCUs instead of these white institutions, right? And if they all went to these HBCUs, right, then the HBCUs can benefit from our talent. Now, if that was the call, then that is a sacrifice. Because you're going to a university that's not going to have the same level of weight program. They're not going to have the same food hall. They're not going to have the same amenities or whatever. That is a sacrifice. That's a sacrifice because it's not an apples to apples comparison. right? But I mean, obviously we would like them to go to HBCUs, but I think it's just saying don't go to the
The state flagship
state-run
university.
institutions
Yeah.
in these states. So instead of going to LSU, go to Louisiana Tech. Instead of going to, Alabama or what's the other one?
Auburn.
Auburn, go to another university, and they're not telling them to just leave the state. Just don't play for these state-run institutions.
But like Georgia Tech is hard as hell to get into. You got to have like a 30 ACT score to get into Georgia Tech.
You think all
What do
them
you
black
mean?
dudes, and now listen, and I'm not trying to be racist, but do you think every single one of them black dudes got a 30 something ACT score?
No, I know they don't. That's the point. But you want them to go somewhere else. So it's like that's the point. If my child can't get into a school like Georgia Tech without being as athletically sound as he is, but he can go to Georgia Tech, that's a sacrifice. That's all I'm asking you to acknowledge. That's a sacrifice.
I've always said this when it comes to HBCU or wherever. I'm never going to be an advocate of saying exclude yourself from going to this school. I'm for as many opportunities as possible for Black people. So if you're going to live in the state, if you're paying taxes in the state, if you grew up in the state, I don't think it's smart to say I'm going to not attend that. If that's the case, leave the state.